speaker. This is going to be absolutely incredible. And this is all about how to build an authentic personal brand, which I think is just so timely, especially in our world where every human being seems to have a brand now. Like everyone, like my cat has a brand and it's absolutely wild. But how do you make it authentic? How do you make it true to yourself? Because I'm sure that differentiates you from others if it's truly authentic, because we're all a little different. And that sounds cheesy, and that's the best way for me to introduce this speaker. Mattia is coming to us. She's the founder of SDRs of Germany and going to drop some fire. So Mattia, please go ahead and take it away.
Thank you very much, Anna, for that lovely introduction. Hi, everyone. I am Mattia, and as Anna said, I am the founder of SDRs of Germany, and I recently turned entrepreneur. And today we're going to speak about how to build an authentic personal brand. I started building my personal brand around this time last year when I had just started as an SDR at SalesLoft. And some of my colleagues already had massive personal brands at SalesLoft. Charlotte Johnson, Tom Boston, Ollie Sharp, Carl Porter himself, you probably know them. And I knew that they were benefiting massively from their personal brand. They were always the ones that hit targets right away in the month, that overachieved all the time, and that also had a super good internal brand. And I was like, okay, I think I need to try this. But as I started getting into personal branding and thinking about how I am actually going to do that, I ran into a couple of doubts. And now that I coach people on personal branding, I realized that almost everyone has those doubts, but that you don't really need to have them if you are building an authentic personal brand. And these couple of doubts are clustered into 3 limiting beliefs that most people have when they start thinking about building a personal brand. The first limiting belief is that people think they need to be an expert in building a personal brand. I thought so too, and as an SDR that had a year of experience in software sales, I was like, how am I going to do this? I'm not an expert. And with that also comes the second limiting belief. If I'm not an expert, why would people follow me or even care about what I have to say? That was the second limiting belief. And then the third one that I always hear everyone say, and I was like that myself, is that people think they don't have the time to produce so much content. If you're an SDR and you're watching this, you know how stressful the SDR job can be and how much pressure there is and how there is 3 million things that you need to do as an SDR. So I was like, how am I going to start my role at SalesLoft, be good, prospect, and produce content? But really, you don't need to have these limiting beliefs, which is why I prepared a quick thing, 3 steps to building a personal brand. And we're going to go through them one by one, and they're going to debunk those limiting beliefs. So I'm hoping that after this session, you are going to throw away all of these excuses and all of these limiting beliefs, and you're going to start your personal brand. Because really, all you need is yourself. Let's look at these 3 steps. The 3 steps go like this. First of all, you choose a character. Then you find and grow your audience, and then you share your story. This is a quick and simple framework that addresses all the main principles of building a personal brand that is actually you, yourself, that people will want to follow, and that you don't have to spend hours on creating content, because honestly, I don't. Let's go through them one by one, and at the end, we'll bring them together again. So at first, you need to choose your character. And in most cases, there are 2 characters for you to choose from. There's either the leader or the adventurer. And the leader is where the audience wants to get to. What does that actually mean? So I have two friends, for example, that are building their personal brands on helping people to get into tech. They are in tech, and now they're helping people to get into tech. So they're a leader. They are where their audience wants to get to. And in those cases, I always say, treat your personal brand as a reflection on how you get there. Because this means people can learn from you because they are on a journey to get to where you are today. And this is the main principle in building a personal brand and making people follow you, because there's only one thing why people are on LinkedIn and why they follow people. They want to learn and they want to develop themselves. It's pretty selfish, really. So as long as you give them something that they can learn from and that they can develop themselves with, they will follow you. But not all of us are already where we want to get to, right? And in that case, you're going to be an adventurer. I was an adventurer when I started building my personal brand. Like I said, I had 1 year of experience in software sales, and I certainly was not an expert. I didn't know it all. I still don't know it all today. But if you're an adventurer, you are on the same journey as your audience is. So for me, my audience was SDRs and AEs. Those were the people that I wanted to engage with. And those people are on the same journey as you are, but you are not an expert yet, remember? So what you're going to do as an adventurer, you are going to go out and you're going to be on the same journey as your audience, and you're going to bring back all the things that you have learned, right? So I built my personal brand on becoming a better seller, for example. I wanted to go out and learn all of these things, and then I would bring them back to my audience and I would give them to them, because that way they also learn from me. And remember, this is one of the things that we need to do. We need to give people something of value, something that they can learn from. And this means that you don't have to be an expert to build a personal brand. You can just be an adventurer, be on the same journey as your audience, and bring back the nuggets that you have. Adventurers, I always say, should why am I saying screenshot? Because actually you said screenshot. Adventurers need to treat LinkedIn as their diary. Don't worry. They need to treat LinkedIn as their diary, right? I don't have a content calendar. All I do is I go out, I try to become a better seller, and I write down my reflections and what I've learned. And this is the way that I built my personal brand. And most people see themselves either in the adventurer character or in the leader character. This way, we have debunked the first limiting belief that you don't actually have to be an expert, as long as people are still learning from you. Now we go into the second step. And the second step is you need to find and grow your audience. What does this actually mean? You need to ask yourself, where does your audience already congregate? Who is currently entertaining your audience already? You don't need to reinvent the wheel. They're out there somewhere. Someone is entertaining them, and there's space for the both of you. So I always, in my coaching, I say, do this exercise. It's called the Dream 100, and it's by a guy actually called Russell Brown. And you make a list of all those spots where your audience already congregates. So when I was an SDR and I knew my audience was SDR and AEs, I knew that they were following certain influencers like Jared Robin or Morgan J. Ingram. I knew that they were active in certain communities like RevGenius, 35,000 salespeople here, all very similar to my audience. And I knew that they were listening to specific podcasts like 30 Minutes to President clubs, and they were all already entertaining my audience. So that is the first step. You find where your audience congregates, and then you grow your audience. The question that you need to ask yourself here is, how do you get in front of your audience? And I know that this is easier said than done, right? but it's going to require a little bit of work. But if you think about it, there's nothing worth having where you don't actually have to work for it. So once you have that list where you know that your audience is congregating, get in front of them. And how do you do that? You do that by being active in the communities that your audience is active in. You do that by consuming and liking the content that your audience already likes. And you build relationships with the influencers that are already entertaining your audience. And when I did this, RevGenius, for example, was on my list, right? And now today I'm here talking to you guys, which made me really proud. It was a year later, but we got there in the end. And how did I do this? I just built a relationship with Jared, for example. I knew that he was the founder of RevGenius, so I got in contact with him and we built a relationship. And eventually he asked me to speak at RevCon. Jackpot. Engage with those people that are already entertaining your audience. And one thing I want to say here is, because I was super intimidated in the beginning, right? I was looking up to all of these people like Morgan J. Ingram and Jared Robin and all of these influencers. And I was like, I feel so small next to them, right? But really what I found out over the last year is that all these content creators and all these influencers, they're just people. We make them much bigger in our heads than they actually are. But in the end, they're just like us. They're just humans. They want to create good content. They want to hang out with good people. So next time you see a podcast that already entertains your audience, message the host afterwards. Say you listened to their podcast and you thought it was super interesting. You had a couple of different perspectives, for example. And then naturally at some point, they're going to ask you to come on their show because they need cool people to come on their show, right? They need to create good content. So find your audience, know where they are, and then get in front of them. And don't be intimidated by all the big LinkedIn people. At the end, everyone is just another person. So now you know which character you should choose, or you see yourself maybe inclined to one or the other. You know how to find and grow your audience. And then you go into the third step, which is probably one of the most important ones. You share your story. And this is great because this is not going to cost you hours of producing and coming up with content. You just share the story of you. Because you are great and you are achieving great things. All you need to do is share that with the world. As I said in the beginning, if you chose the leader, you treat LinkedIn as your point of reflection on how you get there so that people learn from that. If you're an adventurer, however, you treat LinkedIn as your diary. You go out, you become a better seller, you come back, and you treat your audience with all these little knowledge nuggets. And this way, you are going to have quick content that is super relatable and super real, that doesn't take you a lot of time either. And you're going to grow your audience with it. And while you do that, one thing that I always say is you need to be careful that you don't turn your story and your life into a highlight reel. Because no one likes to follow someone that just does great all the time and that just posts about how great they are all the time. These things have their place, obviously. But you need to also share your flaws and your mistakes. First of all, because your mistakes are something that other people can learn from as well. They're not going to make the same mistakes. And it's also something that you can learn from because you sit down and while building your personal brand, you reflect on all of these things and you reflect on your mistakes and how you maybe should have handled them. And you share that with your audience. These are things that are super, super valuable. And I know this is a little bit intimidating because it's a social media platform. And most of the time, everyone just shares how successful they are. But really, if you share your flaws and the mistakes that you make, you're going to be so much more relatable and so much real. Think about your favorite hero or your favorite movie character. Were they perfect? No, They all had flaws. They all made mistakes, which is what made them real, which is what made them relatable. And this is the exact same thing that you also need to do. Show that you're a human. And also, this is the only way that you can be authentic. Because let's be honest, we all make mistakes. We all have flaws. Hiding them makes it pretty inauthentic. But speaking about them openly, how you address these flaws that you have and how you go around making mistakes and, all of these things, these are what make you authentic. And while you do that, make sure that you also share your opinions. Because if you stay neutral, no one will remember you. This is one of the biggest lessons I've learned over the last year. You need to share your opinion. You need to be polarizing. I know for a fact there's so many people out there that don't agree with the things that I do, right? So many people think, I don't know, if you follow me on LinkedIn, you know that I do a lot of videos and I do a lot of memes and my outreach and stuff like that. And people disagree with it all the time. They say, "Oh, memes are not professional. GIFs are not professional. Oh, Mattia, you're so professional," and that's fine. There needs to be some disagreement with the things that I say, because otherwise, I'm not really making an impact. And I know how intimidating this can be, especially if you're more on the adventurous side, right? If you're more on the adventurous side, you're not an expert. And it feels super intimidating to share something on LinkedIn. And even more intimidating to share an opinion on LinkedIn that people might disagree with. But do it. Because as I said, if you don't share your opinion and you stay neutral, then people will not remember you. I know this so well, especially in the beginning when you have a couple of followers and you start posting on LinkedIn and you only have 1 or 2 or 3 likes, so maybe sometimes 10, right? And it's a little bit of a hit in the ego, because this is a professional network and you think everyone's going to see this, but in the beginning, no one's going to see this. And when so many of the people that I coach on personal branding, they're like, "Mattia, I just do a post and I only got 10 likes. I want to get 500, 600 likes like you do on your posts." And I'm like, it takes consistency. Honestly, I was not posting for the first time and got 500, 600 likes. I built that over time. And this is something that you need to be super aware of. In the beginning, no one's going to see your stuff anyways. You're going to build this up. Consistency really is the main thing here. But anyways, now you have chosen your character, you know where to find and grow your audience, and you share your story and your flaws and your opinions. Let's bring all of this together in a little bit of a cheesy way. I know, but I quite like this. If you sum these steps up, in the first step, we said choose your character, right? In the end, this basically just means choose yourself. Be yourself. Don't think you need to be an expert when you're not. You can just be yourself. And that is totally fine. And people will still follow you as long as you grow with your audience and you bring back all of the things that you have learned in the past and on your journey. Then, if you remember, the second limiting belief was people don't actually follow me or they don't care about what I have to say. That's not true, because they are going to follow you if you have something to give to them that they're going to learn from. And you need to be smart when you find and grow your audience. It's not about will they follow me? It's more about how can I make them see me? Because if they don't see me, they can't follow me. So all I need to work on is on my visibility. And then the third step, when you share your story and you share your flaws and you share your opinions, you are just being real. Just be real. Stay authentic. If you had a bad day, if something bad happened, post that. And it's so relieving. I remember the posts that I did where I shared a flaw or where I shared a mistake. Those were all the ones where there was the most engagement. I remember talking about how someone told me to fuck off on a cold call, and I posted about it, even though it went a little bit, like my heart sank a little bit when I hit the post button, because it's something that is not perfect. And most of the time we only choose to show a perfect side on LinkedIn or on any social media platform. But it was so nice to see how people were supporting and how people were like, you know what, this happened to me last time as well. Like, let's keep going. All you need to do is be real in those posts, because people will see that, and people follow real people. People don't follow you if you are just pretending to be successful all the time and you are just trying to lecture them. One of my favorite influencers, Stephen Bartlett, he is a big deal in the UK. I don't know about the US, but he always says, take people on a journey. Don't lecture them. Because if people feel lectured, they just don't drop off. They just don't listen to you. As long as you take them on a journey, though, that's when they're going to listen, because that's when they can identify themselves with you. And that's where you become real, like the movie characters and the heroes in the movies that you love, because they're going to be relatable to you. And in the end, there's not more for me to say on this topic. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of things that we can talk about, like how to engage with people and stuff. But the most important thing is for you to know that it won't happen overnight, but it will happen. In the beginning, most of my LinkedIn was dead. No one was listening to what I was saying. But because I kept up that consistency, I was able to, I think, amass like 25,000 followers by now, just because I showed up every day and I did it consistently. There has not been a Monday or a Wednesday that I didn't post the entire year. Whether that was a public holiday or whether that was Christmas, that didn't matter. You need to show up, you need to be consistent, you need to be real, and it will happen 100%. And that's pretty much it for me. I would love for you guys to connect with me. I'd love to have conversations with you. I do personal branding coaching as a freelancer now. So if you feel like you need some support in helping or defining your brand, please connect with me. There's a link in my profile on a Linktree where you can see what times I'm available. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm seeing the comments. I feel like you kind of enjoyed it, which is a good thing. But yeah, I'll leave you guys to it. I really enjoyed speaking to you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.